Alright, so we are done doing the head and the arm and the hand area. And as you can see, they are all in one UV layout. And then that's because it's going to be in one texture set when we put in Substance Painter. And what we're going to do is we are going to make I'll show you. We're going to make the outfit, the straps and the shoe, all the props and the asset, the custom part. They're all going to be in one UV layout, and later on we're going to add a separate material here for our outfit that will allow us to have it in one texture set when we go into Substance Painter. Alright, so with that said, we could go ahead and start unwrapping our outfit here, starting with the shirt. We can select shirt, Shift H, and I do not like to see the texture, so going to the viewport shading, we could just turn that off, set it from texture to material, hit the tab key. And looking at this here, we can make this one separate UV shell, this another separate UV shell, and then the torso area here is going to be one separate UV shell. I think the front part is going to have its own separate UV shell, and the back part of the shirt is going to be another separate UV shell. So we're going to make a cut here on the side, and also here. So this here is going to be separate piece. Alright, let's go ahead and start out with the arm. Let's go ahead and maybe select an edge loop, so it just goes all around. And also here. So this just makes it easy for us if we have an edge loop like that. Press U and mark seam. And of course, in order for this to unfold properly, we have to make a seam somewhere in the middle. So I think for this one, I'm going to double click here. And I think same for this, double click here. Then I'm going to go hold shift click all the way over here. It's good to make the seams where you're not able to see it. So yeah, on the back part, at the side here under the arm would be perfect, right? And just make sure you do it actually up to the seam where you made it under the arm. You want to double check. I'm going to go and make it all the way up to here. Make sure you're not missing a seam. And also here, it looks like I missed one. Missed a couple. Missed more than a couple. Now I'm going to go ahead and sometimes you might want to Shift Z just so you can see everything. Let's go ahead and mark that seam. Alright. And let's do the torso part. Torso part, could go ahead and make a seam from here onto here, up to here. And seam in this part. Control Shift click all the way here, and then press dot on my numpad. Okay, I kind of lost track. I'm gonna go ahead and just zoom in. Alright, if you just kind of get lost with navigating, just select any of the edges or vertices or faces and press dot your numpad to make it easier to navigate. Alright, I'm seeing a little issue here. I want this to be consistent. Looks like we have something strange going. So when you're unwrapping, you see a problem with your geometry, don't be afraid to go back and fix them. And I see it right here. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to select this, press M and collapse. And I'm going to go ahead and move this down. I'm going to go to my knife tool, click here up to here, press enter. Alright, and then I'm going to go and select this and this, press X and dissolve edges. Alright, and I think I don't need this. This is way too close to each other, so I'm just going to select this, M, and collapse. And I could go ahead and go to my knife tool and maybe create a straight line here. That way I could just easily select one of the edges here, because we need to make a seam somewhere in the side here and also on the side there, because we want the front part of the torso and the back part of the torso to be separate UV shell. Alright, so that said, go ahead and click here, here, and maybe for this one, all the way over here, here. So I could either go this way or this way. I think I'll do it here. It looks more like in the middle. Okay, cool. And then mark that seam. Remember to do it all the way up to where you have the seam under the arm. And make the seam here all the way to where we have the border. Very important. And the back, the other side here, I'm thinking maybe I could select the edges all the way over here. And maybe I could go ahead and just join this so it's easier to select. Yeah, so that's great. So I'm going to go and select all of these all the way over here. And then all the way up to here, here, and up to where the seam is under the arm. And mark that seam. Perfect. And I think here we could make this a separate UV shell here, but I think it's best to do that when we have everything unwrapped for our shirt. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's unwrap our shirt. Select everything. Right click. UV unwrap faces. Unwrap. Alright. And basically this part is going to be, if I press down my numpad, that's going to be it. So I could select what I can on here, right there. Select whatever I can. So that's that part. Maybe here. Select all of these. Okay, so sometimes you also might want to, you either could select from here or using the UV layout. It's up to you. All the way up to here, in here, and all around. So once you got all that selected, to break this piece from the rest of the shirt here, you can right click and unwrap. And there it is. And just press G and move it to the side. Okay, and we could go ahead and just select everything. And let's go to UV and average island scale. Okay, great. And we could go ahead and go to UV and back island. And for the margin, I think for the last one we set it to 0.015. And margin is going to be scaled. And yeah, we could, right now we didn't go through the process of rotating, so it doesn't matter right now. Just gonna go press OK. Alright. And of course, we gotta make sure that we have our checker map on there also. So let's go ahead and check it out. Let's go to our viewport shading, set it to texture, and there it is. Okay, so we can go ahead and kind of rotate things as needed. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hover my mouse over to this one. Oh, I see a little something here. This is this little piece right here. I'm wondering where that came from. I'm gonna press down on my numpad. Oh, so it's coming from the collar part. So I have to stitch that. So you see something like that, just go ahead and just fix that area. So this is gonna be this part right here, this piece. And if I select this piece, it's going to be this piece right there. So I know this has to move somewhere here. And we got to do some stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe select the edge here. Are we on edge? Right click and stitch. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and select this and just select this one. Okay, so if I select this here, it also select the other one. And go ahead and move it down. So if I select this, yeah, they're together there. So I think I could go select this edge here, right click and stitch. Alright, So it's fine. I think I can leave it like that. It's fine. Just go ahead, gonna move these up slight. Move this up slightly. Okay, let's go ahead and check our geometry. Let's check our numbers. Alright, so I'm gonna go select this here. This needs to be rotated, so I'm gonna go ahead and rotate 90 degrees. I think it's gonna be 180 degrees. Press R. 180. Press enter. Alright, perfect. And I think for this one, if I hover my mouse over here, I'm going to just scale that up so I could see what's going on. Okay, so I think this needs to be rotated. Maybe somewhat like this would be. Alright, so I just do want it just kind of be consistent with the number that I see here. This is also going to be more important. Let's say you have your character wearing like a striped shirt. It's going to be even more important that you get this right. So if your character's wearing a pleated shirt, striped shirt, very important to really take into account those values and how they could be read properly. So since I made this bigger, I'm going to have to do the average scaling again, but we could do that later after rotation. And this one right here. Oh, looks like it didn't fully unwrap. It looks like I must have forgotten something here. So I'm going to go ahead and select this edge. And let me see which one that is. It's going to be, oh, it's going to be this part here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark seam. And I'm going to have to re-unwrap that. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and unwrap. There it is. Don't be afraid if you see something big like that. We could always go back and pack the UVs or mess around with the average islands again. And this part is going to be this part right here. I totally completely missed that part. So I'm going to go ahead and press U and mark seam. And let's check this out. We go ahead and select that and unwrap. Alright, so it's unfolded much, much better. And we can do some rotation. Rotate, maybe, yeah, something like, right, so something like that. Press enter. And we could also do this part here. And you can see the textile density is off because the number here on the torso is much bigger than the one on the arm. But we are going to fix that later on when we do our average scale. Alright, press enter. Perfect. Right. Okay, and then let's go do our average scale. Select everything, UV and average island scale. Great. And then we go to pack island 0.015. And this time I am going to turn off rotate because I don't want it to be rotated already. So just rotate and press OK. Alright. Perfect. Okay. Alright, so we got this one unwrapped. And let's go ahead and show the rest of the outfit. So we could do the strap next. Let's go and shift H. Alright, and let's go ahead and turn off texture, set it to material, so we're going to be able to see the seams a lot easier.